thing about you is you don't see it. Like, I really want to hear about the musician who was in a pageant, because you have a musician vibe to you.
Yeah, totally. And that's so cool
yeah.
you say that, because most people that I meet just assume it's the other way around. You know, the pageant girl that she had to learn some sort of talent for Miss America, so she picked up piano. So it's definitely first and foremost a musician.
There she is. Was it Massachusetts?
Massachusetts.
Miss Massachusetts. We're rolling, by the way. Okay, welcome to A Chatter Fact. Again, these are not interviews, they're conversations. Introduce yourself to the world.
Sure. My name is Alissa Musto. I'm a musician, singer-songwriter. Let's see, blogger, Miss Massachusetts 2016.
Your blog
I
is
do.
fun, man.
Oh, thank you.
I saw the one. I just saw the one. This is such a... this was a fast food prep for this podcast, you guys. What's your last name?
Musto.
Because I kept saying, Alissa Music. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't even know your last name. The magical world of Instagram, especially for musicians and artists, it's been so cool. And I don't understand. Instagram has actually helped this podcast, and the podcast is audio and Instagram is not necessarily, but it's just random how many listeners come on when they see an Instagram post. Mm-hmm. Folks, I posted maybe a concert photo or something. You might have liked it. Mm-hmm. And then you always look to see, who's interesting. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I saw you, I thought, wow, she's an actual player from the East Coast. Good. Okay. I'll follow her. And every time people like a photo or something, I'll try to look and see who's liking and see if they're worth following or whatever. And then I go to your page and you have a picture of Chicago. Mm-hmm. And you're from Boston, or
from Boston, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I never comment on Instagram, never. But I heard some of your videos, and I was listening to you singing. Thought, what? Is she? Huh? Oh, maybe I'm supposed to see this person. So then I commented, are you performing? You said no, blah blah blah, just visiting.
Just visiting.
Then I looked at your website, and that was it. I mean. 5 minutes into that, I thought, she's getting on the mic. I'm getting her on this mic.
We're going to make it happen.
It was crazy because, folks...
Quickest turnaround time ever.
Yeah, because this all happened 24 hours ago. Folks, we'll get to all the interesting musical stuff because it was a quick read. I was glancing through some of your credentials, but you've done some really impressive musical stuff. And the behind-the-scenes stuff. Looks like, you've been busy, man. But you were on the Miss USA pageant.
Miss America.
So top 15, you made in the
top 15 finalist. Yeah, last year.
That's a
on
big.
ABC, yeah.
That's a big platform. That's huge.
It's a lot of people. It's kind of daunting when you think about it. Okay, wow, 10 million people are watching me walk around in a bathing suit right now.
Where was it filmed?
It's filmed in Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is. A lot of people are like, wow, that's super random. But that's where it originated, and that's where it's been close to 100 years. Started in Atlantic City to get people to stay on the Jersey Shore after Labor Day.
Oh, really?
It's always the week after Labor Day, yeah.
You're dropping history on the pageant, too. See, I like this.
Yeah, they can quiz you on that. So you got to know your history. But anyway, fast forward 100 years later, Miss America is one of the longest running, pop culture icons, and it was so cool to be a part of it.
So I'm listening to you sing on Instagram. I like your, you definitely have an original artist voice. You have an original sound.
Oh, thank you.
And you have an original delivery, it's very you. It also has a real nice kind of smoky lounge vibe, which is pretty cool too. Mm-hmm. But it's an original sound. But I have you here because I know nothing about pageants, and it's weird because we're going to talk about your music, but I'm fascinated by this thing. I never thought I'd sit down across from somebody, who was in that situation. It's blowing my mind. So that's where we're going, folks, because she seems a little too cool and down to earth. I think sometimes the pageant thing gets a pretty bad rap.
Oh, totally.
It's easy fodder for comedy, way too easy. So, you get a lot of movies. You're not going to see a serious documentary, or I haven't seen one, or a serious movie. The same way there can be baseball. There could be Major League from way back when. There could be a funny comedy on baseball, but you don't. And then you can see a serious baseball piece that just moves everyone. Pageants.
You don't quite have that. Attitude
I haven't seen
the pageants.
Yeah, Meryl Streep in Miss Rhode Island. Right. We haven't seen that. So because of that, they've just given it kind of a lighthearted, almost comical view. And then they highlight the sillier, maybe the people who don't have the best answers for questions.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, I think that's what a lot of these negative perceptions come from. I mean, somebody trips down the stairs or says some terrible answer.
You never see the smart girl with the great answer. Like they bury that.
That's not interesting.
Yeah,
you don't want to see that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you're a trained musician, man. You're doing it too.
I've been playing piano since I was 5 years old, and it's actually really funny how the whole pageant thing started. I was working at a music store.
Okay.
And this
Where?
In Fall River, Massachusetts. And this woman walks in, and I remember she was the most obnoxious customer I think I've ever dealt with at this music store. And she wanted to sign up her daughter for vocal lessons. And she's going, my daughter's so great, and this, and she wants to sing. And then somewhere in the middle of this conversation, she just stops, and she goes, hey, wait a second, don't you compete in pageants? And I'm looking at this lady, I'm going, oh my God, she's crazy. Like, I can't deal with this woman anymore. So I'm like, oh no, that's definitely not me at all. Because, I mean, I didn't know anything about it. I'm thinking, the same thing. I'm thinking of those women tripping down the stairs and the terrible answers that I saw on YouTube. So, I just had a good laugh at it with some of the guys I was working with. And I went home and looked it up. And I found out that Miss America is actually the largest scholarship provider for women in the world.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was in college at the time, so I was like, okay, this is cool. And I learned a little bit more about the current Miss Massachusetts at the time. And I said, wow, she's a real badass. Harvard Dental School. She was top 5 at Miss America. She was a classical pianist. I said, so wow, this is a respectable program. I mean, you have some really high quality women participating in this. I think this is something that I could do. And of course, in the back of my mind, I'm just going, wow, this is amazing. This could be amazing visibility for my music and for what I do as a performer. Because a lot of artists get their start. I mean, even like Katy Perry, Britney Spears, when they were younger, they were doing that pageant circuit.
Yeah. How crazy! So, this all came from somebody's comment.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so where did you grow up? Because I want to bounce back to the pageant thing, but I want to get some backstory.
Yeah.
So where'd you?
I grew up.
No, you drink that coffee. You cheers me right now. Bam.
Absolutely.
There
Yeah.
we go.
I'm never one to turn down coffee. So I grew up in a town called Rehoboth, Massachusetts. It's about an
Say
hour.
that again.
Rehoboth.
Rehoboth. Okay.
Rehoboth.
Sounds like a mystical character.
About an hour south of Boston, 10 minutes out of Providence, Rhode Island. It's a nice place growing up. I went to high school in Providence, so I was very much involved, I guess, in that culture.
All right.
And I don't know if you know anything about Providence, but they have RISD, Rhode Island School of Design there, and Brown University. So it's a very hip, cool community to be part of. And I moved just north of Boston, a few years ago when I started college. And, I loved it. It had a cool vibe. It's very artist-friendly community. And I just never went back.
Wow. And then how long were you studying piano or doing that whole thing? Like, when did you start?
So I started playing piano when I was 4 years old. I actually grew up in a family of professional musicians.
Your dad was?
Yeah, my dad's a professional piano player. So it was funny. I used to sit by the door and want to go to work with him with this guitar that we had got at a garage sale. I was 3-4 years old. Yeah. And I couldn't understand why I couldn't go to work with my dad. And he was like, well, if you learn how to play the piano, then maybe you'll be able to. So we started piano lessons, and it was funny because I was 4. I didn't know how to read at the time. So we're trying to learn notes, and okay, this is the C note, this is the F note. Yeah. I don't know my alphabet, So I'm like, so we're like, okay, this is not working. So in the beginning, I did a lot of stuff by ear, then started reading music, and eventually my dad just couldn't put up with me anymore, so he sent me to a real teacher. I'm kidding.
All right.
But it was just always in the house growing up, and it's awesome because even now it's something that we have together that we can bond over.
Oh, that's cool,
and do together. Yeah.
And where's home for you now?
I live in Cambridge, Mass, which is where Harvard University is. About 10 minutes north of the city.
So when did you start really hitting gig life with piano? Did you start gigging and stuff before?
Oh, I was in high school.
And you were already...
And I was gigging. I I felt like the coolest kid in my school because I was in high school, and then on the weekends I would go play shows, and just even having a little money in your pocket, you're like, man, I'm the big cat on campus here.
Were you even playing like in bars and stuff, or
restaurants, little venues,
But you were playing.
Oh yeah, I was playing.
How old were you?
Singing, 16.
So when you were 16, were you playing in were you doing like solo stuff, or were you?
I was doing solo stuff. Yeah.
At 16.
At 16,
you're gigging and playing and accompanying yourself and doing a thing.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
And I didn't even have my license yet. My dad had to take me, and he would like sit there and just watch my show. And I think honestly that was probably motivation to keep practicing, because it's my biggest critic right there.
Wait a minute. Okay, see, dude, you're interesting. When you're 16, are you first off, like, how big of a selection are you building? Like, you had
and that's the thing.
You had to learn a catalog.
Exactly, and that definitely pushed me, because it's okay. You got to perform 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
And like, I only know 10 songs. So that forced me, because every week I'm going back, it forced me to learn more songs and more songs. And eventually the catalog just kept building and building. And a few years ago, when I was 19, I started working at a dueling piano show.
Yeah.
And that's when I really okay, you have to learn hundreds of songs. Let's do this. So
like crazy.
So yeah, it's been a great boot camp. But repertoire is always growing.
Go back to the 16 thing. Like, were you able to get the gig? Did your dad help? Like, did he have some clout because he's a known player?
He's definitely helped me. I think I found this on Craigslist, and I was like, Dad, which is great. I definitely found the gig on Craigslist, and I was like, Dad, like, I can go perform here, and it's going to be great. And he's like, okay, like, if he's going with me, then what's the worst thing that could happen?
Right.
And it was great.
So did you have to audition, or how did that work? Did you have a recording that you had?
I did have some recordings,
okay.
Just because, I had been playing all my life, and I had played in school with the little ensembles.
But 16, did they have a piano in the place?
We brought a keyboard.
Okay.
That was the one really cool thing about having the musician dad, is that you always had your equipment. Like, you never had to worry about, being short of your equipment.
Yeah, man.
Even now, when I have to borrow something, I'm like, oh, shoot, good thing my dad has it.
Yeah, because that's a big deal. I probably was around 16, 17 when I started, and the big deal was just sound system and things like that. Like, it was tough,
exactly,
because it's kids. So the fact that you had that is awesome.
And even when I was younger than that, my dad, to kind of break me out of my shell and overcome stage fright, he would take me to nursing homes when I was 7, 8 years old to sing for the residents there. And it was interesting because
You've been singing a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And you're a musician yourself, so like during the day you're learning tunes. And so my dad would pick me up from school, and we're listening to 80s tunes, and then he's learning them because he's memorizing the lyrics. But so is 10-year-old me learning all these old tunes, memorizing the lyrics for them. But
so seeing Dad go there, like, you just wanted to be a part of that world.
Oh, absolutely.
I totally relate. My dad was a singer. It was the same thing. Like, I just wanted that. I wanted to be in it. It just seemed like the coolest thing. It just seemed like so much fun, and even the camaraderie, with the other players and whatever. I wanted all of it.
Absolutely.
I would not only pretend at home that I was singing the way everyone does anyway, but I would pretend that I'm talking to, like, the drummer and you know what I mean?
Right,
it's that whole thing. There's something about being in a band and working with people, but then it's really impressive to do your own thing and be solo out there, because, man, at 16, I mean, are you working on, how was your banter? Do you have people, are you interacting a bit, or were you just, I'm going to play,
at that
sing,
time,
play, sing?
I was definitely way too shy.
Sure.
To interact with people.
Were there tips involved too?
There was definitely a tip jar.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd smile, say thank you, but at that point, I was just trying to work on the tunes and get something going. Because it is horrifying when you're up there performing and you're like, I'm going to run out of songs to play. Like, I don't know what's next. I don't know. So it was a great boot camp, laid a really good foundation for what I'm doing now. Yeah.
Dude. So then when did writing come into play?
So I'd always been writing throughout high school too. I was a very serious kid. I've been told I'm an old soul, which was actually another interesting thing about performing when I was still in high school is that people thought I was so much older than I actually was. And, they're trying to talk to me like I'm a 20-something-year-old. And I'm like, I don't know how to talk to people. What do I say? So, but I've just been writing high school, released a little EP. And at the time, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Of course.
Now I shudder when people reference it. And just kept doing that. And I right now, I released my first full-length album a few years ago.
Okay.
And that was called What We Saw from the Piano Bar. And that was pretty cool because at that time I was 18 and I just started playing. And, once you turn 18, you can start playing at the late-night bars and all that stuff. And just you see this whole new world and these social situations that maybe not a lot of 18-year-olds are experiencing. Yeah. So it was a lot to take in. And just how I responded to it and my interpretation of what was going on was enough material for the whole album.
I got to hear that then. Oh, that's good. That's what inspired that because I love the title.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
And I really like the blog thing because that's the first thing I saw. That's the first thing when I clicked on you to see what's going on here. Mm-hmm. That your blog about songwriting, the process is so freaking clever, man. Where can they find that? Tell people.
You can go to my website, alissamusto.com/blog.
So spell it so that they all know.
That's a good question because everyone always spells my name wrong. It's ALISSAMUSTO.
Boom. And that's where they'll find you.
That's where you'll find me, my blog, my website, what I'm doing.
It's fun, man. The blog is fun. It's a cool your description and your use of pictures and stuff on and any songwriter can relate to it. And any outsider would love to see that because it's a fun description of the process. I'm not even gonna spoil anything, but I like what you did and I like the images that you used.
And that's what I try to do with my blog. I wanted something that professional musicians and other artists can read and relate to and oh wow, I totally understand that. But I want to give that perspective, that outside perspective to, maybe someone that's not involved with it, that's wondering what's going on in all of our heads. So I try to strike that balance where, an artist can appreciate it and relate, but you don't have to be a musician to understand what I'm trying to say.
The blog is what made me interested in you because the pageant thing definitely was a big thing because I know nothing about that world. So I'm curious about that. Mm-hmm. But when I saw the blog, I just thought, well, this is fun and cute, but also very clever. And there's a wit to this that does not strike me as something your average pageant person would come up with based on what society tells us pageant people are. Because it does suck, man, that the imagery that we get of pageant people.
Of course.
And you don't seem that way. And the more I talk to you, too, you're a laid back, cool dude.
Yeah, I always say it's the pageant thing. It was the best and the worst thing that ever happened to my music career. Oh no, honestly, because on one hand, it's the coolest thing in the world.
Sure.
All of a sudden, I have connections in news publications, and I'm on TV, and I'm in parades, and I'm talking to hundreds of people that would otherwise have no idea who I am or what I stand for or anything about me. But on the other hand, I'm always attached with that title.
Right.
And in the music world, it can be tough because I've had people make assumptions about my musical abilities and about who I am as a musician.
Because you're here just because you were Miss Massachusetts or something.
Right, exactly. I had somebody come up to me at a bar that I was performing at, and I think they had totally good intentions, but they were like, yeah, when we heard Miss Massachusetts was performing here, we figured you'd be pretty and all, but we didn't think you'd actually be any good. And I was like, oh,
thank you.
I guess. But of course, but how can you not make those assumptions?
I didn't think about that.
Everything that you see, on, like I said, on the internet, on YouTube, those terrible questions, the terrible talents, there's a lot to poke fun at.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't think about the fact that, of course, if you're getting after the pageant, if you're going to get booked, people are going to want to say this is Miss Massachusetts.
Of course, and that's why it's always attached to me.
Oh man, that is
or the other thing is people assume I do Broadway and show tunes.
Yeah.
I don't know why that assumption was always made, but always that oh, you must do like show tunes. Don't
weird.
rain on my parade.
I think even people that like don't watch the shows, they just have this idea of what a person is in that position, you know? So as you guys can already tell, she's pretty cool, man. I feel like you're the person I would want to see when they ask, like, well, how do you achieve world peace? Because you seem like you would just not try to give some sort of stupid textbook. You would just be like, I don't know, man, just be cool. Just be cool.
Just everyone's got to be cool with each other.
Just be cool. God.
No, that was actually my
Where's
favorite.
My coffee?
That was my favorite part.
Where's the question and answer?
I went to school for government. I didn't go to school for music.
Oh.
So
so you had some
I would love those questions, right? So, and that was the funniest thing because people, just assume, kind of laid back. Yeah. But man, you asked me a question about nuclear policy, we're going to go there.
You're like in a bikini too, just saying like, here's how we got to do this nuclear thing. Here's what's going to set it right. Oh, that's awesome.
Exactly.
Well, okay, so hold on. Let's see. You're gigging, you're working, and then, like every good musician, you find your way maybe working at a music. You working at a music store, you said?
I was working at a music store, yep, at the time.
So somebody just looks at you, asks if you were in a pageant, and that was enough for you to say, let me do some research. Let me see what's going on.
I think, just because this woman was like so ridiculous and so like, it was just
She
funny.
Convinced you? You were like, oh my God, was I in a pageant? I better research this.
Well, of course you're like.
Maybe I was.
I was kind of flattered, like, oh, wow, she must think I'm kind of attractive. I mean, it's somewhat, articulate and intelligent to be asking me this.
Tell me again how I'm beautiful enough to be in a pageant.
Exactly.
And buy my CD.
Even though you're crazy, right?
Tell me again, crazy random person. Yeah, but that triggered something.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. You do you're like, all right, let me check this out, where this lady thinks I was, but I wasn't. And then you look into it, and then you see all the rewards.
Because to be honest, I didn't think... You think of pageants, I mean, I know for me, I was like, oh, that's not a thing in Massachusetts. Like, that's in the South,
sure.
Louisiana, Alabama. Like, does that community even exist here in Massachusetts? Like, the pageant community?
Yeah.
So which is why, I think that's why I was more curious, like, what is she talking about? Like, what is this hidden world of New England pageants that I don't know anything about?
So you do some research, you look into it, and then you see all the rewards that it could reap.
Yeah.
Right? And then what did you do? What happened next? What'd you do?
Well, you have to enter a local competition.
Okay.
Which is Miss, your city, your county, whatever.
So what was your city at the time?
So my city at the time, I actually competed twice. Mm-hmm. The first title I won was Miss Tri-County.
You won right away?
Yeah.
High five, man.
Thank you.
Bam. All right.
Yeah. My first year being involved, I won the title of Miss Tri-County, which was just like where 3 little counties in Massachusetts meet.
Sure. It's so weird because I've never heard of Tri-County. Like, that would sound more like it's just some girl who gets around, but it's an actual name of a place. Oh, God, that one. Oh, Michelle's Miss Tri-County.
Miss Tri-County.
Okay, she's dated everybody. She's slept with everyone.
No,
but Tri-County is the name of...
There are some really interesting local titles. Like Miss, I think in Nebraska or something, they have like Miss Kool-Aid Days.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there's all sorts of weird ones. But you have to win the local one before you can compete at your state.
It's like some kind of prize fighter that's like working its way up the ranks.
Exactly.
Okay, I get it. So you kicked people's asses in 3 different counties.
Exactly.
First.
Exactly.
And then after Tri-County?
And then I competed because I didn't really think I could ever win like the state title. At first I was like, oh, I'll win a local title. And that will give me opportunities in the community. And even at that level, you win scholarship. So yeah, at every level, you win substantial scholarship money.
And you're still thinking as a musician here.
Oh yeah.
That is so cool.
And one of the coolest things too was that I'm originally classically trained, but I mean, I don't do that at gigs.
Sure.
But for me, I was like, okay, this is a stage I can get on and perform a classical arrangement. I can really show off my technique and my chops here, and there's going to be an attentive audience listening to me.
Remember what you played for that first competition? Do you remember what you did?
I played, oh boy. I want to say I either played like Dizzy Fingers by Zez Confrey or Root Beer Rag by Billy Joel or Salvietto by Bach.
Sure.
Something like that. Something fast and furious.
Yeah. Oh, nice, man.
Yeah.
But it's so cool because, I mean, I think people have to find whatever gets them out there too. Like even if it seems like an offshoot, you know, it's interesting how this has opened up some other avenues for me, just doing a podcast, because it's different from my shows. And now people, I know that guy, I'll go to the show now, you know.
Exactly. That's exactly how I feel with the blog too.
Yeah, it feeds, like they keep feeding each other like crazy. So if you could find anything, you know, people, listeners, musicians.
You know, in this business, right? There's too many of us just for everyone to be doing the same thing. You've got to find your shtick that makes you stick out. Whoops!
Boom! Was that you?
That's the Italian hands. Solo? That's the Italian hands coming out. Like I start swinging my hands.
I just like threw the keyboard in front of her. I didn't really plan on anything, but isn't that? That's just right hand while she's grabbing her coffee. That was like a no look pass. Did you see that? If you guys heard that riff,
we could come up with a little riff for the beginning.
There it is.
Ending of your.
I should have had you
play. Podcast.
I should have had you play us in. We'll have you play us out. That'll be the thing.
Cool.
We'll do a little something. But yeah, it's weird because every platform works. Somebody was telling me, do a YouTube video every week. Just sing a line from anything, even a cover song or something. And I think I did something for like 2 weeks and thought, this is exhausting. So I think at the same time, you have to work at it, but also find your jam. Like Instagram has worked out way better for me than anything else. YouTube's done pretty well, but that's not, the podcast doesn't do well on YouTube. The podcast does better on just the apps and wherever they're downloading. But my live stuff on YouTube does pretty well, you know.
Oh, really?
But they all,
they all serve a different purpose. I think Instagram is so cool because you go to YouTube. I think like you know what you're looking for, you know. But I think Instagram is really cool because it encourages discovery.
It's awesome.
You meet new artists or new. I mean, even when I was coming out here to Chicago, I was like, what am I going to do while I'm here? Well, you go to Instagram, you can see all these cool places to eat and like live music and cool things that people are doing rather than just reading a Yelp review.
It's crazy. No, it works. It works on so many levels. But I think if people who just find their platform and just throw it out there, it's all about increasing the brand, you know, just spreading yourself out there. It's not necessarily, you're not whoring yourself. You're just getting that name everywhere you can get it on every platform because somebody hits it and then the next thing you know, they're interested in some part of you. And recognition for what we do, man, it's everything. My God. But okay, I want to back up. The first thing you do is this smaller thing, the tri-counting.
Oh yeah, the tri-count.
So when you're doing that, and now you know you're in it, because it has to be a little bit nerve-wracking because you've never done anything like that before. Like, what happens? Do you find? I mean, since it's smaller than like the bit. You're starting out as small as you can. Are you getting someone to consult you?
They assign you a business manager.
Oh, they do.
And
at the
local level. And some of the local titles are a bigger deal than others.
So obviously, you sign up for that one, and then what happens?
You win. And then,
but I want to hear what do
you have to do when you compete?
What did you have to do? Yeah, how did you prep?
So, and in all levels, national, local, state, you compete in the same categories. You have a private interview with the judges.
Okay,
and that is
how's that go?
It's intimidating. It's like press style, like press conference style, where you're there at a podium. And you have this panel of judges asking you questions about everything and anything.
What do you wear to that? Like, what did you wear?
Business attire, And they can ask you about, politics or your favorite color or what would you say to your younger self? I mean, anything. Anything. They can ask you about random stuff happening in the news or, things you don't even know about. I mean, you got to be prepared.
But the cool thing is you'd been on a mic talking to crowds at your shows.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you were already kind of ready for at least random people. I mean, maybe it's different because if you're at a restaurant or something, it's more like, play piano, man! Or do you know?
Exactly.
But you have to, like...
And I was working at the music store teaching kids.
So there you go.
So it's like you're dealing with kids and drunk people.
Which are kind of the same person.
They're definitely the same thing.
One's a little more slurry, but they kind of talk the same.
Exactly.
So even that, like, at least you're used to being... A, you're used to being in front of people. And then B, you're used to kind of having to come up with different responses to different things completely out of the blue, you know? So you were kind of prepped,
Oh, yeah.
the music. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. So you do that and you're wearing your business suit.
I'm wearing my little business suit,
right, straight up pantsuit? Did you go?
I didn't have a pantsuit at the time. It was this orange, like, 3/4 length sleeve thing that I got at Marshall's. Yeah. It was pretty cool. I still wear it all the time. It was great. Then, let's see, you perform your talent.
All right.
And the talent's a big one. That's worth 35. You know what? Don't quote me on that. It's worth somewhere between 30 and 35% of your score. They like recently changed the scoring percentages. So it's like a big percentage, you know, your talent. So
wow.
Did that. And then you got to walk on with your swimsuit on.
This is still just to get into the pageant?
Oh, yeah. This is when you're competing. This is the categories that you compete in.
I meant like how do you
prepare?
Well, first off, once you like enter, what do you have to do for them to just say, okay, you're in?
Oh, paperwork.
You know what I mean? You're in the pageant.
You got to do a ton of paperwork.
You have paperwork, and then you do like the question answer thing.
That's on competition day.
Oh,
so everyone just shows up. Yeah.
Is it hard to get into the pageant?
No. Anyway, so there's a couple requirements. You have to be, born female, somewhere between ages 17 and 24. You have to live, work, or go to school in the state or community that you're trying to represent.
All right.
There's like another 13 pages of contracts of things you got to follow. But
there's not necessarily an audition process to get into the pageant. Oh, awesome.
No.
So you must see some really awesome kind of crazy, like you must see like somebody who seems like, oh, wow, she's perfect. She can be like in a toothpaste commercial. This is going to be something. But then you can see someone else and kind of be like, ooh, she's kind of a shit show like this one.
Yeah. And you see everything in between. Exactly.
I love that. Oh, that's cool.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the coolest thing at the local level.
Forget about like the main one. Forget like the Miss America. I want to go see that.
By the time you go to Miss America, right, everybody's has it all together.
Fine-tuned. Oh, no, I want to see like some wrecks, man. I want to see people that are kind of damaged and confused. I'm going to go to the Tri-City pageant next year. I got to go now. Like, I want to see the people that are like, I don't know. I'm going to answer this question, but I'm just, I hope they don't turn my power off and I might be pregnant. Like, I want to see.
Well, actually, that's one of the rules, too. You can't be pregnant.
You can't be pregnant.
You can't be pregnant and you can't have a child. And you can't be married either.
Oh, what? You have to be single?
Yes.
There's something creepy about that rule. I don't know why.
I think it's
because it's Miss.
It does sound a lot creepier than it is, yeah. But someone was just like, it's because you're Miss America. You're not Mrs. America, which is a different thing.
Is there a Mrs. America pageant? Oh, wow. Have they gone past that yet? To where, like, and now the divorced woman pageant of America.
I think they call that the Ms. pageant.
Is it? There's a thing?
This is a big world.
Oh, my God. When my jokes become reality, I'm so happy. So there's actually like you've had kids, you've been divorced.
It gets better.
Yeah.
I've judged a senior citizen pageant.
Is there a swimsuit competition in those? Oh,
no,
okay.
No.
But you've judged one.
I have.
Oh, see, that's great too. Was that like more local level or was that?
Oh, that was definitely more local level.
Yes.
I really can't attest on the national competitiveness of senior citizen pageants.
Oh, that seems awesome though, because there's a certain level of senior citizen that I truly enjoy, and that's the one that's like slightly losing their marbles just a little bit. And the combination of when they get to that point where like, okay, my mind's slipping a little bit, and mixed with the person who just doesn't give a damn. Like, I don't care. The person, I can't remember, maybe it was a Seinfeld bit or something, like they just back out of the garage and they don't look anymore. They're like, I don't care. Now you just take your chances. I don't care anymore. And they just like drive in reverse out of their garage without even looking. That whole thing, like those are some of my favorite people on the planet, actually. Like slightly slipping in their mind, and they don't care about anything because I've been here long enough.
Exactly.
I love those people. I was talking about how I when I was in Europe, I was at a semi-nude beach. You guys.
Oh, exactly. The senior citizens.
Yeah, they're like, it's out.
Yes,
it's out, and you just live with it.
Yeah,
here it is. Yeah, peekaboo, youngster.
That's
Bam.
so funny you said that. When I was in Spain, the same thing. I was like, oh my.
Yeah,
Here we are.
I don't, guy or girl, I wanted to at least see one perfect body like jogging down the beach. Instead, I
was kind of worried. I was
tons of grandparents.
When I went, I was like, oh man, there's going to be all these super fit, 6 feet tall European people, but no.
No. There's a lot of
all old people.
A lot of folds happening. A lot of different grooves that you see that you never
you
thought
don't want
you'd
to
see.
see.
Yeah, you never thought you'd see in life. Like, oh wow. Like that dude needs to be spackled or something. Something's wrong there. And you don't expect it. Like you're just going for the smooth body experience and it's not happening. And then again, they don't give a damn.
They don't care.
Like, yeah, give me some of that. Like that's what I like. And because those are the people in a pageant I would want to like ask them the questions, because it would just be cantankerous. It would be angry. It would be very much, I want every answer to kind of be keep your ball out of my yard. And maybe at least 1 out of 10 people come out naked because they don't care. They're like, you know what? I do this at the beach, and now I do it outside the beach. And now
I do it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't attest to whether that community is a thriving one here in Chicago.
But I'm going to research the shit out of this right now. As soon as we get off these mics, I'm Googling Chicago old pageants. What would I call it? What do they call it?
Sometimes they're called a quote-unquote sweetheart pageant.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, my God. Let me get one of those people on the microphone. Dear God, please. Oh, I hope they don't come in naked, though, because that would be off-putting. I'd have to keep looking up the entire time. Like, do you want a towel or some spackle? All right, anyway, back to hey, don't forget to drink. Are you having enough coffee? Welcome to Chatter Fact. I hope you like the experience so far.
I'm having a great time. It's the most fun I had.
This will be unlike anything you've ever done on a mic with any of your talks. I can promise you that. I'm fairly certain. You're going to get some other opportunity. You're going to be on whatever CBS News, and you're going to say, hey, do you guys ever talk about old naked people? I'm just going to ask.
I happen to know a lot about that.
I have some experience with that topic. And if you have a spackle sponsorship for this show, boom, game on.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm glad I can prep you for CBS.
Oh, my God.
That's what this podcast is all about. Okay. So you get into you get past that first level.
Yep.
And then how many do you have to go through till you get to the whole Miss America?
All you have to do.
I'm getting confused.
Miss America.
Miss America.
God,
I'm talking to somebody who was in the Miss America pageant.
That's so true. You're
so laid back and down to earth. This is really cool.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm glad I know you.
I'm glad I'm here too. I'm glad that we met on the internet.
Yeah, so I know they should make the Tinder version of career swiping. Oh, she seems cool for a podcast. Swipe.
That's a super cool idea, because I've always thought about that. Because I sometimes like to travel. I'll get my $90 Spirit Airlines flight.
I like that.
And I'll go random places, and you want to meet people that you can network with, and
that can enhance your life and happy. It's I like talking to people like you, because you and I, you're the perfect podcast guest.
Oh, thank you.
We're in the same realm, but still, we live on different areas of
exactly,
it. We do some stuff that kind of syncs up, but then so many other things. I've never, ever once walked across a stage in my swimsuit. Never. I can promise you that's probably never going to happen to me. And so it's cool to meet somebody like this, and to get that we have the same perspectives yet different views.
Right.
So
We're
cool.
kind of living in the same world.
Yeah, but we can still agree on old people.
Exactly.
All right. So how many competitions to get to the big one?
Miss America. So there's about after you win your local title, which. There was Miss Chicago, there's a Miss, whatever, Miss Boston.
But how? Oh, that's right. How long did it take to get to the Miss Massachusetts? Because that has to be a pretty big one, right?
After you win your local, you go right on to the state level. And there's about 24 girls from all over there in Massachusetts that represent different parts of Mass, and they'll compete at the state level for the title of Miss Massachusetts.
Okay, so I guess backing up again, since you'd never done any kind of pageant work, you get thrown into it, you get through. They give you a business manager right from the get-go, like the try.
Oh yeah. You have your business manager right away.
What?
They're coaching you a little bit. They're helping you with paperwork.
Okay.
They're helping you with just all the logistics of it. What you need. You need to get an evening gown, and you need to practice this, and that color doesn't look good on you, and let's practice questions.
Okay.
So that's
cool.
They're preparing you in every way, and even mentally, just making sure you're in a good place, because for some people, I guess for anyone, that situation can be stressful, but for some people, this is a real big deal in their lives. And it's easy to kind of get carried away, like any sort of competition, just getting wrapped up in the process of it.
I mean, were you suddenly you look like you've probably never been fat in your life, but are you suddenly training even? Are you doing?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Because it's like, wow, this is like, I'm going to be in a bathing suit on a stage.
Sure.
I think that's daunting for anyone.
Yeah. And do you do your own thing as far as that goes, or are they giving you, here's a nutritionist?
It depends on who your organization is. When I was Miss Tri-County, because that was one of the smaller ones, I didn't have a ton of sponsorship support. But the next year, and we'll get into that a little later, I was Miss Cambridge, because I was living in Cambridge. And that's probably the biggest organization. The Miss Boston and the Miss Cambridge organization is probably the biggest local organization in the state.
Wow.
So all of a sudden I did have a dress sponsor and this sponsor, and it definitely gives you the competitive edge, because you just have more resources available to you.
So after the Tri-County, you moved to Cambridge?
So I was already living in Cambridge. I think I got away with the Tri-County because it was the work stipulation that I was working in that area at the time.
Oh, okay.
And my first year competing at Miss Massachusetts, I was 4th runner-up. So out of the 24 girls that was competing, I was in the top 5 my first year ever doing it.
Was that before or after the Miss Cambridge thing?
That was before.
Okay.
And it's definitely one of those things that people involved in this have been involved for a while. People don't just wake up like, hey, I'm going to do a pageant and finish in the top 5. So when I was 4th runner-up, I was like, okay, like this is actually something I can do now. Like I can actually win this state title.
Cool.
And that's when the next year I came back. I qualified for Cambridge easily, and won that. Actually, it's an interesting story. I was 1st runner-up in the Miss Cambridge competition. The winner resigned, and then I became. Yeah.
Why? Do you know?
She just took on a professional opportunity. She's actually also a professional performer, and she took on a professional theater opportunity that conflicted with the dates. So I assumed the title of Miss Cambridge, and then I went on to win the whole thing in July. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so after the Miss Cambridge thing, you take the title. Mm-hmm. Is there any responsibility involved when you're Miss Cambridge? Because that's
totally. I mean, at every level, you're in the community. You're in parades. You're visiting hospitals. We had a partnership as Miss Massachusetts. You're the official ambassador for Boston's Children's Hospital.
Oh, no, I want to get into all of that. But before that, like a Miss Cambridge, what's the...
Even
what are
then,
you doing? You're still doing...
You have opportunities, a lot of volunteer work. Every contestant on every level has a charity that they can pick or a cause that they advocate for,
mm-hmm.
and they speak to schools, and they speak to different organizations. So even at that local level, I was involved in my community. And it's really great because it preps you for the responsibilities of being Miss Massachusetts.
Did you find yourself getting more gigs after the Miss Cambridge thing? Like, did things like that happen, or are you almost forced to not do as many because there are responsibilities?
They never really conflicted with each other.
Cool.
I think it was like a cool little thing that, like, I was Miss Cambridge, but at that level, maybe people don't know what it is. Like, is Miss Cambridge, like, what's that? Miss Massachusetts, everyone knows that's a thing.
Okay, so Miss Cambridge is done, and then you're like, all right, I'm going for Miss Massachusetts.
Yeah,
I'm giving this.
And this is my second shot.
What's the difference maybe in preparation? Did you do anything different to prep for the Miss Massachusetts thing? Is it?
I think that second year, just having that committee behind you, and there's just the sponsors, and just having that knowledge.
When you're going for the state, you had more people behind you, or Miss Cambridge just happened to have?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So as Miss Cambridge...
Because this is all so new to me. I know nothing about this.
Totally. So as Miss Cambridge, I had like a prep team
It's kind of like you had superhero names, by the way. Now that you're saying it,
This is true. Yeah. This is true. But, think of like any athlete, they have their prep team, their coaches, and their person that helps them with this and that. Like you said, fighters going into the rink and, they have their little entourage, their little squad. Yeah.
As Miss Cambridge, you had a prep team.
I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how big was that team, would you say?
Well, let's see.
What'd you have?
I had my executive director, who is also my business manager, who I talk to every day.
Okay.
We were talking every day, going over questions. They had a committee of people that we would get together and do mock interviews. Like I was saying with the judges, well, we would practice that, pretending there was judges and they would ask me questions. I had people that when I had to go pick out a gown or my talent outfit that would come with me and, help me. Okay, this looks good. This, let's try this. So stylists and think who else? Yeah, interview coach.
Wow.
So yeah, somebody helping me in every area.
Even if you're an attractive person or whatever, is there somebody actually showing you different etiquettes or teaching you how to walk?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. Going to walking practice.
How hard was that?
Oh, that was really hard.
Yeah.
That was probably the hardest thing. I hated walking and I hated having to do my makeup. Those are the hardest parts for me.
Really? What was the thing about walking that was tough?
You're just like, the heels are so big. And you're like on a stage and it's weird because like I sit when I'm on a stage and even performing, it's different. Like in the back of your head, you're like, this is so cheesy what I'm doing right now. Like
right.
I'm walking in a bathing suit on a stage, like while smiling. Like there's no way I'm convincing anyone I'm having a good time.
I never really thought about that because you're in the bathing suit, then you have to walk with a smile.
And I don't care who you are, like you can be in the best shape of the world. There's no way you're like, man, I feel so comfortable and excited about doing this. Just overcoming that.
Yeah.
And I think too, having the team, the actual support and the preparation is great, but mentally it's like, okay, I know all these people are in my corner. I think that helps someone.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
In any way, like these people are here for me and they're supporting me, and it's so cool when the big night's actually there and you're walking on stage and you see your little, cheering crew and they got their little lights and they're screaming your name because that pumps you up.
So the competition at the Miss Massachusetts level, that's bigger.
That's big.
Bigger
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. That's real big.
Okay. Everybody wants that.
Everybody wants to be Miss Massachusetts.
Yeah. So when you're getting involved with that, what's the intensity level for the actual competition when compared to like Miss Cambridge?
Well, for starters, is that we're there for a week. They put us in hotels and we're there with the other girls.
Is your team with you then?
No. At that point, we have to check in our cell phones. They don't.
Checking your cell phones. What do you mean?
So when we're at the hotel competing and we're at practice, and it was the same thing for Miss America, you just can't have your phone on you at all times because they don't want, I think for a few different reasons, they don't want parts of the production getting out, being leaked.
Okay.
But they also don't want these teams, driving these girls crazy.
Sure.
So it's a little bit of everything.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Or overbearing mothers, driving these girls crazy, because that's another interesting
really
thing.
Cool
yeah.
that's a little level of care that I wouldn't have expected.
Absolutely.
Because
and then again, you have a bunch of 20-something-year-old girls that you have to teach like all these routines to in a week. You don't want them on their cell phones all the time.
Oh crap! I forgot about that. You're learning what? Not necessarily dances. Are you?
Yeah, dance productions.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay, you're learning dances, and then you're learning.
And you're going on group appearances.
Now, had you ever done anything like that as far as choreographed dancing ever?
Oh my gosh, I'm a terrible dancer.
So
I'm so bad. Let me tell you, it's really terrible because my grandparents were professional dancers.
Oh really?
They had a dance studio in New York, and I can't dance at all. I think my parents tried signing me up like when I was a kid, and the video footage is terrible. Like I literally stop in the middle of the dance and just like am waving to my parents like hi. So that they realized really quickly like that wasn't the thing for me. So sure enough, fast forward 20 years later, we're at Miss Massachusetts. You better believe the choreographer put me me in the back.
Yeah.
Definitely put me in the back. And a lot of these girls, for their talent, it is dance.
Oh, sure.
So they're picking this stuff up real quickly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know my right from my left. What do I do?
I talked about this on the very last episode, being put in that position where, like, the night before, I was just stressed all night and trying to remember, like, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah, blah, you know? Like, or did you feel like you had to just cram even on your own time?
Yeah, definitely. You're back at the hotel and you're like, okay, I got to do this. But you go over it so many times that by that final night, you've got it down. You got those little twists and pivots down.
I love your demeanor, man. I'm telling you, there's no other pageant person I could have ever found that would have been better than this right here, because I'm talking to like a player who is in it. But it's funny because you look like you could be in a pageant, you know?
Well, thank
but
you.
to have that vibe like, oh, man, you're walking around.
I think, no, totally.
Suit. You have to
totally
smile.
As the years gone by,
yeah.
Being Miss Massachusetts, I said, okay, you know what? Like, I'm not going to be someone I'm not, you know?
Beautiful.
I'm not going to be this, I don't even know how to say it. Just
almost, correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost seems like they would like you to be almost a little cardboard, you know, without giving too much depth, to where it feels to me like when I see a pageant person, any winner, a Miss whatever, at the higher level anyway, it seems like you could almost close your eyes and it's the same person, because it seems like the way that they
robotic,
want...
the very poised, very elegant, very robotic.
But not only that, the way they want them to deliver is so just on the surface that you don't really get that depth until maybe after the fact, if they're doing something else and they're, and it's interesting that it's almost homogenized that way. Like it's very interesting. Like you're the most interesting Miss Anything I've ever heard speak. Ever, because I've only gotten my feed from whatever was on TV or whatever you hear, you know, very much the same person, you know, and so it's really nice. I like that viewpoint. It's almost like you could earn more respect as a person and from the masses that way, and you're also going to break from the pack that way.
Absolutely, you know? and that was something at first, you know, I was a little intimidated by, especially going to Miss America.
Yeah.
You know, I'm from Boston. You know, Boston's very different from the South. And I learned that, man, the hard way when I first got there. I made some sort of joke that would have been totally fine back home, and I just got looked at. And I said, okay, Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Jimmy, we're not in Boston anymore.
We're not in Boston anymore, guy. So I said, okay, I got to change my demeanor a little bit here, only because you have to know your audience.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I was so thrilled being a finalist. It was the greatest thing in the world.
Sure.
But I said, okay, I don't know if I could fit that Miss America persona for a year. I'm really glad to be going back home. I really like where I'm from. I really like Massachusetts. I like just the viewpoints on there, you know, the things that we stand for, you know, as a state and as a city. Just the people, the atmosphere, you know, we have a lot of colleges there. It's a cool place to be. But I realized, I said, you know what, I'm not going to be this persona that I'm not, you know, and throughout my reign, I because you go back from Miss America, you know, you still have responsibilities as Miss Massachusetts. I said, I want my mark on this organization to be how I interact with people. I want to be someone that you can have a conversation with, that you're going to remember having a conversation with, rather than just giving the same monotone answers to everything, you know?
Oh, man, see, right there. If I would have heard you say that on a mic, on a stage, I would have voted you Miss America for sure. Miss USA, Miss America, Miss
all
Cool
of the
Chick,
above.
all of them.
Miss Senior Citizen, we got that one too.
Listen, folks, I want to hear all about the actual, like, big national pageant after that. Like, let's get into all that. But first, we're going to take the eye blink. So, be right back in an eye blink. There, we're back. That was eye blink for the audience and like 7-10 minutes for us to refill coffee and stuff. So we're back. But hey, does anybody call you anything like Allie or anything like that?
Yeah.
What do you prefer? What's your favorite?
I mean, I'm called Alissa on stage, but I have friends that call me Allie.
Do you have a preference?
No.
All right.
Not at all. I have actually a very, large group of friends that call me by my last name.
Really?
So here, Musto. Yeah. Usually they're talking to me.
All right, fair enough. That's cool. All right, so what I want to get into now is like the big one. So you're Miss Massachusetts. After you become Miss Massachusetts, how far away is that from the
2
big
months?
Whoa,
2 months, yeah, and it's a lot to do.
Oh, so wait a minute.
2 months,
because do you have some Miss Massachusetts responsibilities right off the bat?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you have to, it sounds like kind of like you're a superhero in a way. Like, well, I have to be Miss Massachusetts.
Right, yeah. You put
Straight
on,
up.
Like you put on your cape, you put on your crown, and
you have the sash.
You got to go save the world.
Oh, this is awesome. You're a superhero. All right, cool. So in the midst of that, you have the 2 months of these responsibilities because you have that title, but then you also have to prep because then you know that you're going to this big competition. Like, when you win the Miss Massachusetts, somewhere in that same moment of celebrating, are you realizing, whoa, I'm going to the big dance?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. There's so many things running through your mind. You're like, wow, like, at that moment, it's kind of crazy because you're like, my life just changed.
Yeah.
Forever. Immediately your lifestyle changes because you have to accommodate those preparations, but on the other hand, even the longer term, like, that's something I'm going to have the rest of my life.
Come on, dude. High five. Come on, man. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, you're Miss Massachusetts. You have the 2 months for prep. What's that prep like? Is it pretty intense?
It's super intense. Absolutely.
Really?
You have to get your wardrobe down, which sounds so silly and so easy, but, you're competing with girls from across the country. You're competing with girls, in some other states that have budgets that are like 10 times your size.
Wow.
And so you have a lot to do. And a lot of it, being from a smaller state like Massachusetts is, DIY. Do it yourself, making those connections yourself, going out there and doing a lot of it.
Are you getting sponsors and stuff like that? Yeah,
totally. You have, I was able to wear this beautiful evening gown, $5,000 gown, probably the nicest thing I'll ever wear. That was provided by one of our sponsors, and just going to the fitness trainer.
Sure.
Just all the little things like that.
All right. So now, when you get to that level, that's crazy. That's crazy because
gas sponsor. That was the big one.
A what?
That was great. Yeah.
Did you say a gas?
Yeah, like you don't have to pay for your gas for a year.
What?
Let me tell you something. That was the hardest thing about ending my reign, when you all have to start swiping your credit card, every 3 days to pay for your own gas.
Free gas for a year?
Yeah.
Oh,
that was great. And then getting your hair done. That was another thing that kind of broke my heart when I had to pay for a haircut last time.
You had that of course, because, to hold that title, they want a certain look and a certain appearance every time.
Oh, yeah. And it's good for the sponsor, too. Wouldn't you want to go get your hair cut at the place that Miss Massachusetts
of course
is getting their hair done? Yeah.
Oh my God, but I would totally smile and walk around in a swimsuit to get free gas for a year. It would all be worth it just for that.
And I've won about $25,000 in scholarship money.
Oh, dude.
They paid for school, so that's cool.
That is great. So that's right, because what that's all what you get when you win the Miss Massachusetts thing.
Yeah.
Oh man. And okay, so now when you're leading up to the big one, a week before, you're just flown out there all by yourself?
So 2 weeks before, you have to go to Atlantic City.
Okay.
And you take all your stuff and you meet your roommate. Mine was Miss Montana. She was super cool.
Nice.
I'm not even going to lie. I was so scared. I was like, oh boy, like, what if I get partnered up with some crazy girl that's like on her phone all night with her coach?
Sure.
And but it worked out really great.
Miss Montana.
She's super cool, medical student, still a really good friend of mine.
Wow.
And I'm really glad that, we met through that process. But now you're dealing with the big show. We're talking like Dick Clark Productions, ABC.
Wow.
This is a big deal. So during the day, you're at rehearsal in these undisclosed locations that are guarded by police officers, and you don't have your phones with you because it's live TV. No secrets can get out. Nothing can get out. You're with these choreographers. Early, like 6 a.m. You're up. You're dancing. You're doing.
Crazy.
You're rehearsing all day. Then that afternoon, you got to get dressed up and you have to go do a group appearance.
Wow. So
and it's 2 weeks of that. Yeah.
The rehearsals, is it for, you're doing multiple routines and stuff in the show?
Yeah, because it's for the show itself, but also, you know, the promos that they're going to be airing.
Oh, right,
you know,
right,
the
right.
week before and just all the little stuff like that.
Okay, so then how crazy are the craziest? You don't even have to name a state, but I mean, you got to run into some. There has to be a few of the overbearing. I mean, I would imagine that there's a part of it that is, wow, this person's awesome. This person's a medical student. Mm-hmm. Okay, this person is in high school mentally right now. They would scratch our eyes out just to beat us.
Oh, absolutely.
So you see every facet. I mean, it's from all over the country.
And like I was saying, like I was so relatively new to this world, but some of these girls, I mean, they had been Miss Teen, their state, you know, and they had competed even longer than that.
Which can either be awesome or is enough to drive someone insane.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. I mean, for some girls, this is the finishing up of a, 12, 13-year chapter in their life.
God.
And that's a big deal. You know, anything, you work 12, 13 years towards something and it's coming to a close.
Did you get any,
that's a lot of pressure on anyone. Oh, of course.
Yeah. Somebody had a problem with Miss Massachusetts. Like, oh, great.
I don't think anyone had a problem with me. I mean, if they did, like I said, I'm from Boston. I'll tell you to go screw yourself. I'm not going to care.
You're like one of the toughest people in the lineup.
I'm not going to cry about it, right? But just. Yeah, emotions are definitely running high.
Yeah.
You know?
Is there any weird, like even if it's not altercations, but any craziness? Like, is there anything that you looked at that was so hilarious, just overall, and you thought, oh, this is a crazy world I live in right now?
So one thing that was like kind of crazy for me was I'm a vegetarian. So like they would put aside like special little food for me because I'm obviously not going to eat the chicken.
Sure.
Or, whatever it was. So then they would other girls had food allergies and stuff. And there was this one girl where she would get the vegetarian meal too. And I was like, oh, that's, vegetarians love talking about how they're vegetarians. So I was like, oh, how long have you been a vegetarian? And she's like, oh, I'm not. I'm just getting the vegetarian meal because it's healthier. So I'll look better in my swimsuit. And I was like, oh my gosh, you lied on the form and said you were a vegetarian.
So it's just
to get the healthier meal.
Oh wow, yeah, huh? All right.
That was weird. I wouldn't even think that far.
Yeah,
ahead.
That's different.
Yeah.
See, that's what I mean. The mindset. Was there any weird follies in rehearsals or anything weird like that? Anybody? Are people just so I wonder if even though everyone's prepped for this, is anyone just so wound tight that they're either freaking out or falling down or something weird, or was it pretty seamless?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely saw, especially once the competition started, because there's preliminary nights of competition.
Sure.
Before the big show, which is when they narrow it down to the top 15, and that's when you start seeing girls cracking under the pressure and
no.
Yeah.
Is it random tears mainly?
Oh yeah, there's tears.
No.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine, if this is your thing, especially for the people that have been living for it, they have to go a little nuts when things aren't going their way.
I mean, and there's nothing to compare it to. You can't even. You actually have a better shot of having a son that plays in the Super Bowl rather than having a daughter that competes on the Miss America stage.
Oh, boy.
Now, but the difference is if you're an NFL player and you're competing in the Super Bowl, okay, so what, you lose, you can be on that team and maybe you'll win the next year. Maybe you'll get traded. You only have one shot at competing at Miss America. Once you do it once, you can't do it again.
Oh,
so for that to be the culmination of this journey that's, more than a decade for some of these girls, you can definitely see how it's a high pressure situation. And also, probably a personal oh shit moment because it's what do I do now?
I feel like it's just
nerves
better
are running high. Yeah,
it feels like better for mindsets if they just keep putting people like you in it. I feel almost bad for the people that have been forced into it from their youth and with the kind of crazy pageant moms and that kind of thing. There is a vibe to you that is so down to earth because, again, when you get into the questions, and I haven't seen enough of them, but I remember I think somebody was even asked like, whoa, what do you, I might be wrong. So if people are going to start emailing me, I might be misquoting this, but I thought there was something that happened where they were asking one contestant something about like, why is it, most Americans, can't find the USA on a map
on a map,
or something?
Yeah, one of the 5 Americans. It was Miss Teen, South Carolina.
Is that what?
This is all part of the research prepping.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because I remember
everything.
I thought her answer was something like, because they don't have maps or something. It was like something really weird.
Yeah,
and it was a very bad answer.
She went in some incoherent rant about like the Iraq and the South Africa.
I would imagine you could like just Google like worst pageant answers and you'd see, and some of them were just really horrible, and some of them seem like either they just couldn't think on their feet, some of these people, or one or two of them just might not have been that bright,
a combination of the two.
Yeah, and I think when you're trying to portray that kind of personality, it makes it a little tricky because you can't really get into the get in depth with who a person is and how they're going to respond to the different questions that maybe they're not prepared for.
Right, when for some of these contestants everything's so rehearsed, it's in a can. They ask something about this topic, these are their speaking points, and this is what they're going to say.
Yeah, see, we need you.
As soon as you throw that curveball, it's like, what do I say? And of course, it's a high pressure situation.
Sure.
So some of these women are incredibly intelligent, but when they get under that pressure, you're on live TV, there's all these people watching, maybe they choke a little bit. And, and I've always felt for that girl with the answer about the maps because she was a teenager.
Yeah.
At the time. And I can't imagine going through that at 15, 16.
All the pressure.
All that pressure. So it's a combination of a lot of different things, but unfortunately for myself and the reputation of pageantry, there's quite a few of these bombing answers.
Yeah, and but the thing is, it's just too easy to pick on that and highlight.
It is when you don't realize.
Because Miss Montana, you said she was cool. Was she down to earth? Was she a nice person?
Yeah,
intelligent.
She liked to ski. She was intelligent.
So if you had a
she
talk
liked Game
with
of
her,
Thrones. She was great.
Oh, see, so there it is, and you don't see that, and it's too bad because I think the fact that the pageant world maybe isn't what it was 25 years ago is because they need to evolve that way. It would help.
Totally.
Because right now it's become the same way that they're trying to have the contestants almost be the same person in a weird way, which automatically, by the way, makes it really hard to pick a winner because you almost feel like you're hearing the same person, even though everyone looks a little different.
Yeah.
Besides that, it just seems like it would be an evolution that would work because now you're getting personalities, and it's become the same way that it's become a pattern for them to almost try to create the same personalities across the board, which makes it a little less interesting. It's become a pattern for media and everyone else to just say, well, the pageant's coming up. Let's just find the bad answer.
Right.
Let's just find this. We're going to make fun of it. We make fun of this portion of it every year. Instead of them saying, wow, this person's cool.
Yeah.
And because they let that person. It's the only thing, I'm a nobody in that realm. But if I had any say so, I would say let them be a little more them. Because listen to you, man. I feel like you're the kind of contestant that I would love to see stumped because I feel like you being stumped would be the best example for young girls because I feel like you could just say, yeah, I don't know, man. Here's my take though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to this, like the eyes get really big and like, well, and it's if they're stumped, just admit it. There's so much strength in admitting weakness,
Absolutely.
And instead they're like, oh no, I can't. So I'm just going to come up with something. What I think is that maybe it turns into this thing.
Absolutely.
And it's torturous for them. And it's torturous for the viewer, as opposed to like somebody being so real.
And to go back to what you're saying about little girls is, to be real with you, that's probably the biggest part of the job is that you are a role model for little girls, for kids at schools, for people who are looking up to you.
Yeah.
Younger people, younger generations are looking up to you. And what message do we want to send them that like, okay, you can be perfect all the time. Who can relate to that? Who can relate to being perfect all the time?
Sure.
My favorite thing was going to schools or going to speak with Girl Scout troops or whatever and finding that one or two girls who, they were kind of they didn't really think they were going to be into it. But listening to me talk about, just be yourself, do what you want, man. Like, you want to be a scientist, you be a scientist. You want to be a musician, and seeing them kind of like come to life and come out of their shell because they could relate to that. That was like one of the most fulfilling parts of what I was doing as Miss Massachusetts. And I think it's really, really important as a title holder, whether that be on the local or the national level, that you instill that in little girls. I mean, society tells little girls a lot of different things, so it's really cool when you have a badass role model that can tell you to just be yourself.
Seriously.
And because you don't know how long that child will, carry that encounter on with them.
Yeah.
You can. I know I talk to kids and I did little things with kids where their parents messaged me on Facebook, like, I came and talked to your kid's school, like, you don't know who I am, but I made enough of an influence on your kid that she went home and told you about it. You found me on Facebook and you needed to write me because that's something that stuck with her. And that's what it's really all about.
Oh, that's cool, man. Wow. So once you're in the big competition after the fact, well, first off, what is the hardest part about being in the big dance there when you're in the big one and it's nationally televised and everything? Because that'll play on the mind no matter who you are.
Yeah. It's you're definitely tired by that point. You're exhausted. It's 2 weeks of a lot. Yeah. Just rehearsal after rehearsal, appearance after appearance.
How did you feel with the question part of it? Like, it's just weird because you have to have a certain.
I've never been nervous by the question.
Oh, nice.
Never.
So the presentation for it, I almost equate it to, I've met some people who are news anchors. Mm-hmm. And, you talk to them like you and I are talking now, and it's such a casual thing. But then there's a certain delivery that you almost have to have as a news anchor.
Yeah,
you remember
you
Mark
need to be
McGrath
articulate.
from Sugar Ray? Remember him? He's still out there, By the way, I used to like their tunes. They were so damn catchy. Ding, ding, ding,
yeah, they
ding,
are.
ding,
They are catchy, yeah.
What I like about him, because he wasn't exactly an amazing singer. Like, they were more produced. And to hear him live was not a treat, But then I heard him on a podcast, and he's like, yeah, I know. And it was so cool. But to hear him talk, he was just very casual, and it was fun. In fact, some bandmates of mine are doing a show with him
cool.
in L.A. in a couple of weeks. But what's cool is he's a perfect example if you look for whenever, I don't know what entertainment show he was on. He was on one of them for the longest time. Whatever, Access Hollywood or Entertainment Tonight, one of them. They obviously gave him the presentation and the inflection because he would always say, so the movie's coming out, and then he would end his last sentence every time, same inflection. And that's how it is, starring whatever, and it would always be this na 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 na, and it obviously was nowhere near the way he spoke. But was that something that they kind of had you guys do even in your presentation, like vocally? You kind of knew, okay, here's sort of the inflection I have to have.
Absolutely.
This isn't exactly how I talk, but this is kind of a pageant voice. In a way.
Because your main job as a title holder is talking with people,
right.
Whether it be the press, whether it be with interacting with people.
But
you're always talking.
Super accelerated on the show, though. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Like, that's when it's at its highest.
Yes.
That had to be interesting because were they telling you that? Were they telling you, like, the people who were prepping you, like, okay, here's how you say an answer?
I did have a little bit of coaching in terms of speech and how I should inflect certain words or certain
you poor
syllables.
thing, because then similar to the swimsuit part, you have to have a smile like pasted on your face the entire time you're even listening to the question and answering the question. Like, how do people do that without, like, you have to feel like, oh my God, I have to like sleep with a hanger in my mouth just so that I'm just sucked this way.
But to be honest with you,
it seems hard.
So funny you say that because I've been told I have an RBF, which is a resting bitch face. Okay, and when I'm performing, I'll be singing, and if I'm not really trying to smile, I look like I'm so pissed off when I'm singing. So this was before the pageant stuff. So I really had to like start making a conscious effort when I'm singing and performing, just smile and look like I'm having fun. Because in my mind, oh, I felt fine. Like, yeah, I'm having fun. But I look so angry. So I think piano bar, 101 definitely translated over to the pageants.
That's awesome.
Because I just had to be aware of my facial muscles while I was speaking.
Is there ever a point you wonder whether anyone's face actually hurts after the whole ordeal? Like, oh my God, my cheeks actually hurt from all this smiling.
Totally.
Because if someone, if I'm doing a show, and then sometimes after the bigger shows, people want to take pictures with you. And the combination of like taking a bunch of pictures, and if it's a big crowd, by the way, I'm in. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to walk away. I want to shake as many hands as I can.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there's always the combination of taking a ton of pictures, and then that one person. There's always that one mom or that one friend who just can't freaking figure out the camera. And you're there, and you're like, "This is it. This is the best smile I have. I am in." Oh, and they're taking so long, and they're like, "Oh, wait, no, I don't know, maybe the flash."
And then it becomes the cheesy smile.
But then, like, that makes my face hurt. And realistically, it's funny because whenever that happens, I mean, you don't even have to be a performer. This could happen at anybody's like holiday party at home, because you always have that uncle. He's like, I don't know, maybe
how to use the camera here,
right? Does the flash work?
Right,
and,
he's on the selfie cam.
Yeah, there's like 15 pictures of just their confused face before they take the good picture of you, whatever, by the holiday tree. But then even in those moments, my cheeks are hurting. I'm just like, oh my God, that was hard in the midst of it. And it's probably only been 15 seconds of that. But in my mind, it feels like 20 minutes. And I'm just like, okay. Okay.
Let's do this any minute now.
Yeah, it's easier when it's family. Because then you could be like, boy, you really don't know. You're dumb, aren't you? You can say that.
Exactly. You can't say that to your fans.
No, when it's the fans, it's more like, okay. It's all right. It's okay.
Just take your time. Okay. Take your time.
Oh my God! There might even be like side drool happening at this point. I'm stuck.
Right. I don't have any feeling in my face. I'm not really sure.
I can't feel my face. Figure your camera out. I can't. I can't imagine doing that for an entire competition. Like.
Yeah, and the craziest thing is even like you walk out and you do your evening gown. Yeah. But then a lot of the times you don't walk off stage. Like you got to go stand there with all the other girls
with the smile
in
on
the
your
row,
face.
And there's always someone looking at you, and you have to remember that. And that's back to performing. Somebody's always looking at you.
Yes.
So guess what? You're standing there in the line, even though it's not your turn to go out there and do your little thing. Somebody's looking at you. So if you're making a face, guess what? It's going to be on the internet.
Sidebar for all you musicians out there. I always hear this. I would always hear this from the side guys, like a keyboardist or something. Like, well, they're just looking at the singer anyway. So wrong.
No,
so wrong.
They're always,
The entire band is a spectacle. And they're looking at every part of it. The drummer, everyone. Drummers may really feel this because they're in the back. They're watching you. They see because they comment. I saw that, they seemed upset, or that guy's just texting, or they do, all players, one of the brilliant things that I was told a while back by a guy that handles a lot of my booking and stuff, he's like, the gig starts when you get out of the car, and it doesn't end until you're back in the car. So yeah, you're right. Anyway, that was my sidebar for you players out there. They're always watching. They're always watching you. Oh, and guess what, people? They're watching you even when you get off the stage and you're saying hello or whatever.
That's true.
Because I know people that would get off the stage. I don't know. I'm really happy. I work with a lot of happy people. But I've worked with people years and years ago who would get off the stage, and then even though they're like putting on amazing shows, they get off the stage and there's that. Oh, God.
Yeah, exactly.
That translates so big to the people, and the 2 hours you spent on stage winning them
right
over.
down the drain, right?
Right down the drain. Like, you lose them. It's disheartening for the fans. But anyway, that's my little tangent. But back to your face. Doesn't your face hurt after all that? Because I can't handle do you feel it? Did you, or are you just so trained now? You're like, no, I got this. Like, your handlers like tied little weights up to your cheeks. You're like, smile,
right,
smile.
You're doing exercises,
you're pumping,
right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I think definitely if I have to hold it for long periods of time, I'm like, oh wow, this.
Do you feel it?
I feel
in
it.
The show?
But the shows, not so much, because I don't feel like I have to have like a giant smile during the shows. But
okay,
as long as I look pleasant, I'm having fun.
Okay, nice, man.
Yeah.
And how, like, you've referenced the swimsuit part. Like, how weird is that? Because are you talking at some point?
No, you never talk in your swimsuit.
Do they ever go, like, straight on bikini with that, or is it always a one piece?
Oh, no, it's a bikini.
Is it a bikini?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember. I thought I heard somewhere that
they used to do one pieces back in the day.
So
you can do a one piece if you want. People don't really do it.
That's probably the one part that maybe can eventually go away. Not that who doesn't love to see a beautiful person in a bikini, but that's probably the weirdest part of the whole thing.
Here's why it won't go away.
Huh.
It's without a doubt the weirdest part of the whole thing. And I mean, now let's be real. You don't need to watch Miss America to see a bunch of beautiful women in bikinis. It started as a swimsuit competition.
Really?
That's how Miss America started.
Oh, see, I love that you can drop this knowledge on me.
Yeah, back in Atlantic City, it was a bathing beauty contest to get people to stay on the Jersey Shore after Labor Day.
Huh.
So it's part of the competition that's been around for such a long time. That's how it started. I think it would be very difficult and it'd be a disruptive process if they were to eliminate that.
So it's a tradition
from the competition. Yeah. I think it'd be hard to do that.
Sure. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, because you really did have to study up on this. Like, you have to know what you're getting into.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's like a job interview.
Yeah.
You know, you go apply for a job. I mean, I'm a musician, so then again, I don't really do job interviews. But you want to know a little something about the company you're working for.
Yeah.
And what they stand for and what they're all about. So it's the same thing with this.
When it's over, even if you're not like the winner, once you get past crap, is there a relief factor? Like, whew, just from the pressure of doing all that stuff?
Oh,
like,
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing once you eat like your first cheat meal after that.
Do you remember what it was?
I had gelato.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the hotel lobby, 3 a.m.
In the bikini.
Sunday.
You're like, put on my bikini, I'm going to fill out. Like, just belly hanging over. My belly's going to hang over my bikini. You're not going to see this. Ready? Go. More gelato! Miss Massachusetts wants more gelato! Bring it! And I'll tell you about world peace. Give me a piece of that pie over there, too. That'd be awesome. Oh, I don't know. I might be writing a pageant movie. You want to be in it?
Absolutely. Let's make it happen.
You have to look hot for the first half, but then the back half, you're going to win, and I totally let you get fat because there's going to be a big eating scene. Miss Massachusetts hungry. Miss
Massachusetts is Italian, so she's
By the
I'm
way,
always hungry.
You should have referenced yourself like that. By the way, like that could have been a thing, man. Especially because you have like a toughness to you, and it has to be the Boston thing. So boom, hey. Miss Massachusetts, don't like what you're saying right now, all right? Okay? And I don't like the way you're looking at me. Miss Massachusetts doesn't approve, all right? You're okay. Your friend, get him out of here. What? Miss Massachusetts says leave! That's kind of how I wish that would have rolled. But anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that would have ended one of two ways.
Oh, man. Should have been one of your handlers after you won. Dude, it would have been a thing. Anyway... So, okay, after that, what are the responsibilities? By the way, you know what I loved the most? What was so badass is when you said, my reign. Oh, that sounds so cool. Think about it, dude. You had a reign.
That's the thing. The terminology has just become so, like, implemented into my vocabulary.
It sounded so cool.
That I realized, like, I use these terms, like, to the non-pageant world. They're probably like, what? Like,
you know what? It doesn't, because there is a standing to it that we all recognize. All of us normal folk recognize. Now, if you use it like moving forward, or if anybody used it before that, like your college job or something, that doesn't make any sense. Like, oh man, my reign as fry cook ended, and I've moved on to cash register.
My tenor has...
Yeah, that doesn't... But for you to say it just because it's true, because that is a terminology used in that world, it was just so cool because you're casual and you're talking, but you had a reign.
My reign.
Come on. Yeah. They should have given you a scepter or something. Did you have a scepter?
I didn't. A lot of people do have a scepter, but Miss Massachusetts doesn't have one.
Yeah.
It just varies from...
Well, that needs to change.
State to state.
Okay, so you're Miss Massachusetts. Tell me about your reign.
So yeah, the first 2 months, nice balance of preparing for Miss America.
Oh no, I'm talking about once it's
I
over.
Get back. Okay,
once you get back.
So
and by the way, now no high five. I'm shaking your hand. Like, congrats, dude. Because
Thank you.
For it, no matter what it is, for anybody to get to that level, that national level, that's a thing. No matter what it is, no matter what you're doing, and especially somebody like you who's a musician, a songwriter, who did not look in that direction till way late in the game and then move up the ranks, like, that's an accomplishment, man.
And that's how I look at it. I mean, tens of thousands of girls compete in this organization every year, and to be in the top 15, I mean, that's a fraction of a percent for something that I was doing for such a little period of time. I was like, wow, like I'm so satisfied with my performance and ready to move on with the next chapter of my life. But I was proud of what I did. Even throwing myself into something that I was uncomfortable with and going out there and doing the thing.
And you have to think. I was making these comments about it seems like they're almost homogenizing the personalities. Mm-hmm. That being said, because of that, it's not hard to find a pretty person, right?
No.
So there has to be something to the essence of whoever's getting selected to get to that point. There has to be.
Absolutely.
So in the end, like you can say, I mean, everyone involved is beautiful, and there are tons of beautiful people in the world. But you got there because of you,
That's right.
And that's impressive,
That's
because
right.
you can't get there just being pretty.
No.
Too many pretty people in the world, So there was something about you that got you to that level, and you got it on the national stage. That's pretty awesome, man.
Thank you.
Like, you can
Thank
hold
you so
on to
much.
that forever.
That's right. It's something I'll carry on that title
It's
forever.
a big accomplishment.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you so much.
So, your reign.
My reign. So I get back, drive back to Massachusetts, get a speeding ticket in Connecticut on the way.
Yes. Wait. Now, for those moments, I'm sorry, I'm having my sash and crown in the back seat every time.
But the thing
Bikini
is,
if I'm really speeding.
by that time though, I'm just like in my sweatpants, and I'm just so relieved I don't have to wear makeup, and like I look frightening.
You got a speeding ticket. That's awesome.
So I wasn't even. I mean, the state trooper was a real jerk. But I wasn't even gonna like name drop myself at that point.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he'll probably look at me and think like I'm on drugs or something. Like, okay.
Do you know who I am?
Okay, Miss Massachusetts.
If Miss Massachusetts wants to speed, she's got to speed. Get out of the car, ma'am. All right, fair enough.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I get home and I like just kind of watch TV and eat for a week. But, life moves on, and you have official responsibilities. All the Miss America contestants are partnered with the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So they're representatives of the local children's hospitals in their states.
Okay.
So we do a lot of fundraising with them. I would go to the hospitals, visit with the kids, and man, let me tell you, that's a humbling thing. At the end of the day, just seeing these kids, and they're so strong and they're going through so much. If nothing else, it just puts everything in perspective.
Oh, wow.
Makes you really appreciate, what you have and the smallest things that you take for granted every day. So there's that part of it. There's also just working with a bunch of different charities back home. Red Sox Foundation was a big one. They provide scholarship assistance to inner city kids in Boston and professional advice as well, helping them apply for college and getting job interviews and that sort of thing. Let's see, the USO, working with our troops once they come home. Just a lot of different charities that have really great causes, but in all different realms, not just working towards one thing. My personal cause was advocating music education, so I went into schools. I went and implemented music programs in schools that didn't have them. That was really cool, too. There was nothing like going into this. I went into this inner city preschool, and preschoolers are loud.
Yeah.
Man, they're tough. They're crazy, and they don't focus.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing, I will never forget this, was playing Beethoven for them on my iPhone, and just silence. Like,
wow.
I had never seen a group of 18 4-year-olds be absolutely silent, because they had never heard anything like that in their entire lives. And that was crazy. That was crazy to me, like that I just exposed them to something they had never heard before. It was almost overstimulating. They didn't know how to respond.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then that's cool that you brought that to them.
Totally.
Because you could have gone the easy route and just given them, I taught music for a second, and I was, I had like preschool through the 8th grade.
Oh, wow. That's a big range there.
But I would often use things that they would know. And then use musical terms in that way, but I'd use whatever, something from a movie soundtrack that they would know. But for you to really go off like that, that's impressive.
Yeah.
To really bring them something different that they need. That's like in many ways the foundation of all music.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Wow. So, man, yeah, on your website as well, it looked like, you've done a lot behind the scenes for organizations like that.
Absolutely.
And things like that.
It's so important because I was...
Give the world your website.
Yeah, it's AlissaMusto.com, ALISSAMUSTO.com, and you can add me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those good things.
Yeah, Instagram's where the two of us linked up, and that's why she's here. So, man, cheers to Instagram. But look at her website, guys. First off, look at the songwriting blog, because that's a blast. And then just the list of accomplishments. It was very impressive, man.
Thank you.
You've done some stuff.
Thank you so much. I always thought it's really important to give back, because I was so fortunate to grow up in a household where my love for music was supported.
Yeah.
I had it in school, and I just think of... without music, like, what would my life be like? What would my passion be? What would I be doing? And there's people out there that have those God-given talents. They're born with it, but if they're not exposed to it, if they're not exposed to music, then they can't reap the benefits of it.
Right.
So, even you change one kid's life around because you expose them to music or something that they wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to be a part of, then that's an incredible thing that can change someone's life around.
Whew, man, good for you.
Thank you.
So that was a big part of the raid.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. And that was cool because a lot of times I would go into those schools and I'm not wearing the crown and sash, That's me going out there making a real difference in my community, not just, playing dress up. Now,
does that lead to other things? Like, are you able to... monetize some of the experience? Are you able to, I don't know, do you get calls to do commercials or things like that? Or
not so much commercials, but it's definitely got me more gigs.
Really? Music gigs or other
music
other
gigs.
Type of things?
Yeah, like music gigs, a little acting.
Yeah.
Just different things. It sets me apart, if there's a group of applicants for a gig, for some sort of show, for something, guess what? That's like hey, by the way, she was Miss Massachusetts, and that immediately piques people's interest because they don't know a lot about it, but
it got mine, man.
It's cool. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Huh. Did you ever think about like getting an agent to try to utilize any of that, or do you kind of like doing your own thing?
I work with a few different agents that help me secure some stuff, and I know for a fact they use it.
Yeah.
But totally. I do a lot of it myself, and I like having that control for now over my career and my career decisions.
Folks, by the way, you're getting to know her, so now you got to find her music because, I can't wait to hear your original stuff now because I know you now. I've heard you speak, and now I want to hear how that translates.
Yeah,
into
you can
the
check it
songs.
out on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes.
Yeah. What would you say your style is?
I'm definitely a singer-songwriter first and foremost, so I think jazz, pop.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Crossover. Yeah, like I said, you have a unique sound, man. You have a very unique sound. Your delivery is very different. That's the voice that you want to hear if you're seeking out a piano bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It fits that where you have to do every song that everyone knows, like that's that realm. But at the same time, it lends itself to an original artist because you have a unique sound. It's something very different. Like the sound you have isn't a sound that can be taught. You have a very unique presentation to your delivery,
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. And that just sounds like you,
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool because I don't know if you did any voice training or anything like that.
A little bit. But I like having that unique sound. And I think the coolest thing is when you have a unique voice, you're going to sound the best doing your music,
right.
Doing the stuff that you write. that's custom made for your voice, you know? So while I love performing other people's stuff, and I love doing covers, and probably know about a little over 500 off the top of my head.
Yeah, man, you're in the realm.
But performing my original stuff, I mean, there's no better feeling in the world.
By the way, I need you to live right there. I think I'm so glad the podcast has made you so comfortable that like the last few minutes you were just way back.
I know, I was leaning and I was like, oh, the microphone's all the way over there.
Feet are up and I'm just gonna like, I'm losing you. Come back. No, that's awesome, man. I mean, what I want to hear is like, I look forward to what you're writing now because, you know, if you seem to write, you know, about experiences and you seem to pull from yourself and life. And I mean, you've had a life since that last project came out.
That's exactly. You hit the nail on the head, my friend, because right now the stuff I'm working on, it's like I've had these experiences and these feelings and these emotions that, man, I never thought I would go through this, you know, a few years ago. And a lot of times I used to, you know, focus so hard on I wanted to just write this philosophical, psychologically brilliant, you know, album with big words and fancy metaphors and you know, just do some cool stuff. I mean, but now the stuff I'm working on is just totally influenced and totally inspired by just emotions that I feel, and I think that's something I'm really looking forward to releasing, because I stopped censoring myself like, oh, well, this is too personal and, you know, people might not relate to this, and, you know, this doesn't sound, you know, as poetic as this. But what I'm working on now and what I'm planning on releasing, it's pure emotion. It's how I'm feeling.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
It'll be real then.
It's totally real, yeah. And the last thing I did as Miss Massachusetts before I crowned the next girl was I was backstage and I like literally jotted down this song on a napkin.
Wow.
I was overwhelmed with a lot. You know, it's this whole year, this culmination of this year. It's all coming to an end, and all my friends and families are there, and just this world I was living was about to just go back to normal life. So anyway, I jotted down this song, and you know how it is. Like when you feel it, you just feel it.
You have a title already, or
it comes out. No, not for the song. Okay. No, but I went out and I performed it for the audience. And
oh wow,
oh yeah, like
right then and there.
Oh yeah,
what?
Yeah, and I was like, this is what this album is all about. Like just that real raw emotion. Not, you know, I'm gonna waver over this for
such a down to earth person
8
to
months.
just suddenly end up in that particular tornado. I mean, it's just a big sweltering, swirling gust of life, a whole different lifestyle and a whole different pocket of the world that very few people are going to.
Absolutely.
You know, it's funny because at one point there's the pageantry of it, which can be a little funny and daunting and exhausting, you know, but then the rewards, you know, I mean, suddenly going to an inner city school, like having that platform. After having this crazy platform, it's so huge, the spectrum of it. I'm smiling, I'm done up, I'm in a bikini, boom, I'm in an inner city school.
Absolutely, you know, it's crazy.
Introducing this music to kids that may never hear it.
Yeah, some days, you know, in the morning you're on the floor playing with the kids at the hospital, then you have dinner with the governor, you know, and you're talking about the social problems, you know, facing Massachusetts. So
that is nuts, man. I mean, it sounds like it couldn't have happened to a better person. You know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I like to think that I made a mark on the organization, but having that title certainly made a mark on me.
I'll tell you what, you've made a mark on, I know you've made a mark on my listeners and on me, because I have a totally different perspective now, and I needed that. I think I hope more people meet you after the fact and know about your past, because it's a whole different take, man. Yeah. Like I never met, you know, I've never met anybody that was, you know, in the major pageant like that, but I would have never thought they would be like this. There's a part of me, because we didn't know each other, and when you came down, that I wondered, like, oh man, is it going to be a weird, like, what if there's not a lot of substance? What if she's giving me kind of canned answers the entire time? And you're like, no, I just think if we all come together and hold hands. I'm like, yeah, what do you like to eat? Well, whatever the world likes to eat. Like, I wasn't... But you're
whatever
real.
The world likes to eat. That's crazy.
You're as real as can be, man. Find her music, people. So this is what it's like. This is somebody who deserves a freaking crown and sash, man. Seriously, you do. A person like you deserves that kind of thing. People like you need to be out there in those platforms. I hope more people like you either have already won or win these things. Because when it comes down to like the boots on the ground part of it, you're a person that should be out there talking to people. Someone like you, because you're real and you have substance, and there's a lot of there's like non-BS going on with you, and that's important, man. I did not talk to a pageant winner right now. I talked to like a person with some depth, man. It was really cool. Like I just feel like you can go out there and you can entertain people. You can teach people, but it's, it seems like you could even throw a good punch if you had to.
Yeah, if I had to, wouldn't be the first time.
Good for you, man. Yeah, pageant tough guy.
Exactly.
Well, I hope you like this.
Miss Congeniality. Like I said, if she was the spy or the police officer.
That's right, man. You'd throw somebody over your arm if you had to. Oh, man, I'm so glad I met you, dude.
Me too.
Yeah, this is really cool. This has been an experience. Folks, find her. Go to the website. What's the website again?
AlissaMusto.com.
Say the last name.
Musto.
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 Oh, man. Musto. Oh, it rhymes with kind of gusto a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Musto gusto.
Folks, find her. Get her music, and she's going to have stuff coming out all the time, too. Just go look for her, and they can even find, like, does your website list performances and stuff?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, my gosh. So now, like, people have met you. So go see her. It's primarily out in the East Coast.
Out in the East Coast, yeah. Boston area, New England.
All right, nice. And did you like Chicago now that you've been around?
I love Chicago. Man, the food here is good.
Dude, there's some spots. You found good spots?
I'm leaving here with tight pants. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, my clothes are all a little tighter after being here for a few days.
Well, let me know when you come back. We'll throw you back on the mic, see your new adventures and stuff.
Hey, sounds good.
Yeah, and then we'll go hear some live music together and stuff.
Cool.
So thank you so much, people. You met her. There it is. That's an interesting take on a whole different world for me. So thanks for enlightening my life and broadening my scope, as well as for all the listeners and stuff. So say bye to everybody.
Hey, thanks for having me, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, man. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great month. Go out and find your smile. Boom. There she is. Miss Massachusetts.
Yeah, that was dope. That was great.
Oh, I didn't even have you play us out. What a bummer.
Oh, man.
I should have made you do something. Next time.
Totally.
That was fun, man. Good times, dude.
That was good.
Welcome to my life so far. You'd think by now I'd be a star. I may be long-winded, but hey, there's just so much I have to say. Maybe lick your lips when you're hungry. Maybe drop your head when you're sorry. Maybe shake a bit when you're worried.